Howdy, how's it going? It's your boy TN Smooth back here with another video today. Today we are doing Week 8 Top 25. This is my Week 8 Top 25. And as you see, it's already up on the screen here. So we're going to hop right into it. Starting off at number 25, I've got LSU. Now, I know the AP poll actually came out, and I'm recording this a day late. I usually do these on Saturday nights. I'm not getting this one recorded until Sunday. So the AP poll is already out. And on the actual AP poll, they don't have LSU on here. They do have LSU under receiving votes. The top three receiving votes is UCF, LSU, and Purdue, and then South Carolina also trails as well. South Carolina did have a big win against Kentucky last week, and then this week they were on a bye week, so they haven't played a game. I thought about potentially putting them in, but just because some people fell out, Kansas fell out. And some other people fell out, and I did have a spot, that 25 spot for South Carolina. However, we did not put them in here, and I went ahead and put LSU because LSU had a big win last night over Florida. Puts them at 5-2. Not terrible. They didn't have the bad win last week. I mean, the bad loss last week against Tennessee, when Tennessee completely demolished them and put 40 on them in Death Valley. That was extremely awful. They were 25 then, so then they fell out. I put them back in the top 25 because of the win over Florida. I think to go in the swamp and to dominate like they did, 45-35, I mean, that's only a 10-point win, but still to put up 45 points against the Florida Gators in the swamp is still pretty difficult. And it was between them and Purdue. I was either going to put one or the other in, and I wasn't putting Tulane in like the AP poll has, but yeah, I think between them and Purdue, I think LSU has the better win. Purdue had a win at home, and it was only by like 6 points or something like that. So I think LSU definitely deserves to be in the top 25 again. So I've got them at that number 25 spot there. Number 24, I've got Mississippi State. Mississippi State did have a game against Kentucky, and they did end up losing that game 17-27 at Kentucky. So Kentucky moves up, and Mississippi State goes down. They are I had them at number 17 previously. I have them at number 24 now. At number 23, I've got NC State. NC State, let me see what they did here. They had a game against, if I can find it here, or actually they might have been on bye week. No, they did. They had a game against Syracuse. That's right. Okay, I remember that now. So yeah, they had a game against Syracuse, and they lost that game 24-9. Syracuse moves to 6-0 now. So NC State did move down. I got them at number 23 here. Number 22, I got Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I believe they were on a bye week as well. I believe. So Cincinnati they did not play yesterday, so they kind of just stayed. I think I had them at 21 previously, so I left them kind of at 22 there. Number 21, I've got North Carolina. North Carolina wasn't ranked in last week's poll. In the AP poll. They were ranked in my poll. They finally made it into the top 25 this week in this week's AP poll. But I had them ranked last week. I think I had them at 24, 25. Now I've got them at 21. They did beat Duke at Duke 38-35. Not a huge, not a significant win. Because I believe Duke on the season is 4-3, but it still was a good enough win. In my opinion, to bump them up. So I got them at number 21. They are number 1 in the ACC Coastal Division. So I got them at number 21 here. Number 22, I've got Kentucky. Kentucky beat Mississippi State at home. So I've bumped them up here. They are at number 20 now. Number 19, I've got Texas. Texas did have a game. I believe they played yesterday against Iowa State. I'm not mistaken. Or no, actually they did not play yesterday. My bad. So they played Iowa State. No, they did play Iowa State. Sorry, I had it messed up here. So they did play Iowa State. They beat them 24-21 at home. So they kind of jumped up just a little bit there just because they kept winning. I think their record now is up to 5-2 now. So They are number 19 in my poll. Penn State. Penn State, they lost to Michigan. I had them number 10 previously. That loss to Michigan bumped Michigan up and bumped Penn State down. And Penn State is now at number 18. I think in the actual AP poll, I think they're 17, so not far off. I just feel like it a little bit better to put them in the number 18 spot. Illinois comes in at 17 because they did win yesterday at home against Minnesota, 26-14. So they did. I just kind of switched them. Instead of putting Penn State at 17, I put Penn State at 18. I put Illinois at 17 just because they win, and I feel like they deserve to go up a little bit more than what the AP poll had them at. Number 16, I got Kansas State coming in at number 16 here. Yesterday, I believe they had a game. No, they did not. So they were on bye week. So I kind of left them where they were. I think they were at 17 previously. They might have been at 16 previously in my poll, I believe. But I kind of just left them where they were. At number 15, I've got Wake Forest. Wake Forest did not play yesterday either, so they kind of just stay kind of where they are at number 15. At number 14, I got Utah. Utah yesterday, they did play UCS, and they beat them 43-42. That was a pretty good game. So that bumps UCS down, and that bumps Utah up, and I've got them at number 14. Number 13, I've got Syracuse. Syracuse played NC State and beat them. So Syracuse is at number 13 now. At number 12, I've got Oklahoma State. At number 11, I've got UCS. You know, that was the first loss of the year. They can still recover from it and potentially get back in the top maybe 8. But as of now, they are at number 11, and they are sitting at 6-1. Number 10, I've got the Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks did not have a game yesterday. So they kind of just bumped up one just by default because UCS fell out of the top 10. So they bumped up one. Really, the number 8, 9, and 10 all bumped up a few spots. But Oregon bumped up number 10. UCLA, I got at number 9 here. So UCLA yesterday, they did play, let's see. Or no, they did not play. So UCLA did not play yesterday. They were at number, I think I had them at number 11 previously. Or no, I had them at number 10. So I had them at number 10 and Oregon at number 11. So they kind of just bumped up. Both of them bumped up by default because UCS fell out. And then TCU. I got TCU coming in at number 8. They did have a big win over Oklahoma State, who was previously number 8. And they beat them 43-40. So I got them bumped up at number 8 there. At number 7, I've got Alabama. So I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, right? Alabama previously we know was number 3, and Tennessee was number 6. Tennessee beat Alabama 52-49. So I feel like that bumps Alabama down. Now in the actual AP poll, Alabama is number 6, right? But I switched Alabama and Ole Miss because Ole Miss is still undefeated. They had a home win yesterday. It was over Auburn. It wasn't too impressive until the end. I think they kind of blew them out a little bit. So Ole Miss is still undefeated, though. At the end of the day, they're still 7-0, or 6-0, my bad. And Alabama still 6-1. So, in my opinion, I believe that's enough to put Ole Miss over Alabama. Obviously, these two teams are going to play later in the season, and we'll get to see who really is better than one another. This isn't a power ranking or anything like that. So I'm not, by having Ole Miss at number 6, in no way, shape, or form am I saying I think Ole Miss will beat Alabama. If these two teams played today, I think Alabama would win. But because Alabama, and because we respect records, right? Because if I put Alabama over Ole Miss and Ole Miss is still undefeated, my top 6 teams are all undefeated. So if I was to put Alabama in the top 6 and then leave a undefeated team out that wasn't far behind them, they weren't that far behind them. So to be in front of them, it's not really a surprise because they weren't that far behind them. I think I previously had them at number 8 or something like that. So if I leave them and only bump them up 1 when they win, and then leave a team that is 6-1, even though it wasn't a terrible loss because they lost to a top 6 team, But if I leave them over them, then I'm really at that point in time I feel like that I'm saying that records don't matter, and I believe that they do. So Ole Miss is still undefeated. They were only like 2 ranks behind where they were now. They were number 8. I bumped them up to number 6 because they won, and I bumped a team that lost behind them. So I really feel like that's a good spot for them. I know in the actual AP poll they're number 6. That's fine if you want to leave them at number 6, I guess. But in my opinion, I think number 7 is a good spot for them, setting at 6-1. Obviously, as the season continues, they're going to play Ole Miss out of the top 6 teams. Ole Miss is the only other team that they're going to be playing. They've already played Tennessee. They don't play Georgia in the regular season. They're only going to play Georgia if they go to the SEC championship or in the college football playoff. But as of now, Ole Miss is the only team left ahead of them ahead of them in my rankings that they play. So when they play Ole Miss, if they beat them, then obviously they're going to be ranked higher than them. They might even find their way back in the top 5 if one of these top 5 teams loses. But as of now, I think that a good spot for them is number 7. At number 6, I got Ole Miss. I've already kind of touched on that. Ole Miss won. They're still undefeated, so I've got them at number 6. I don't know if they really have beat anyone too great this year, but they've still played and they've still won. They played Kentucky and they beat Kentucky. That was a good win. That was probably their best win of the year. And that's kind of what bumped them up in these rankings, because at the time I think Kentucky was a top 10 team. So that's kind of what got them ahead of these rankings. And now they're just kind of here to stay really until they lose. At number 5, I've got Clemson. Clemson did have a game last night, and Clemson played Florida State, and they end up winning 34-28. Florida State's not really that good of a team. I had Clemson already at number 5 last week. I know in the actual AP poll they were number 4, and they actually fell down to number 5 this week. But I already had Clemson at number 5 last week. All of my top 5, the only thing that switched was Tennessee coming in. That's it. Previously I had Tennessee at number 6. But yeah, I got Clemson at number 5. They stay at number 5. They beat Florida State. Really no room for them to go up, because Michigan, I got them at number 4, and they beat a top 10 team. They had a nice win over a top 10 team, Penn State. Now, who was that number 10? So I left them at number 4. Didn't really feel like it was fair to bump Clemson above them when Clemson beat a not-so-good Florida State team, and Michigan beat a pretty good Penn State team. That was number 10. Tennessee, I got number 3. And I know some people might put Tennessee at number 4, might put Michigan at number 3. But here, the reason that I put Tennessee at number 3 and not number 4 or number 5 or whatever is because basically I gave them Alabama's spot. Alabama was number 3, and they beat Alabama. So they took their spot, number 3. If I was to put them at number 4, then that means I would have had to bump Michigan up, number 3, which, I mean, I guess that would still work. Or I would have to put them at number 5 and then bump Michigan and Clemson up, and Clemson beat a not-so-good Florida State team whenever Michigan and Tennessee both had good wins. So, I mean, you could bump Michigan up to number 3 and then put Tennessee at number 4 potentially. But I feel like 3 spots bumping up. I feel like you beat Alabama. You know, it's been so hard. To me, it's a bigger win for Tennessee to beat Alabama than for Michigan to beat Penn State. Penn State was number 10. So Michigan beat a team that they probably should have beat anyway. They were ranked higher than them. And I know I said this isn't a power ranking, but they were ranked higher than them. So Michigan beat a team that they should have beat anyway. And Tennessee beat a team that was ranked higher than them and that was picked to win over them. They were picked to win by 7 points. And they beat a team that they haven't beat in 15 years. They were 0-15 against them and Nick Saban since Nick Saban has been there. So to me, I felt like it was a bigger win, and that's the reason I've got Tennessee here at number 3. Not to mention also the AP poll also has Tennessee at number 3. So, yeah, I mean, if you disagree with it, let me know down in the comments why. But I've got Tennessee at number 3 here. Number 2, I got Ohio State. Ohio State, yesterday, I believe they were on a bye week. And so they kind of just stay there by default. They were number 2 last week in my poll, and they didn't have a game yesterday, so they kind of just stay there by default. They will play Iowa next week, and then the week after that they play Penn State. So if Penn State's still ranked then, that would be a good game to see, and it would be a really good game for them. And then at number 1, I got Georgia. Georgia played Vanderbilt yesterday, and they blew them out 55-0. Over the next few weeks, Georgia will play. I know that they have Tennessee coming up soon, but they have Florida not next week, but the week after. So they're going to be on bye week next week, and then they're going to have Florida, and then they're going to have Tennessee after that. And if Tennessee stays ranked in the top 5, that would be a really good matchup. They could decide the new number 1, because if Tennessee goes in, to me, if Tennessee goes in and they beat Georgia, I think there's a good argument for them to be number 1. I'm not saying that Ohio State won't, because Ohio State has kind of missed the number 1 spot a few times this year. They kind of just been left out and excluded, and I know teams have slept. I know people have slept on Ohio State. Don't think that they're as good, but Ohio State, really, out of Ohio State and Georgia, Ohio State has been the most consistent team in my opinion. They've went in and week out and won. Besides that last week, I think it was a week or two ago when they had a slow start, but Ohio State has been pretty consistent. So they potentially could be number 1, and maybe Tennessee would only go up to number 2 or something. But that would be a big game to see, Georgia versus Tennessee here on November the 5th. So really looking forward to that one. But yeah, this is my Week 8 Top 25 rankings. Let me know below what you think, and if you disagree, let me know why. And yeah, I'll leave a link below where you can go and create your own rankings if you want to create your own. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been your boy TN Smooth, and I'll see you next week when I do my Week 9 rankings. Peace.